Today, I want to give you a prime example of how if you just want to make something happen, you totally can. You don't have to be in the right location. You don't have to have successful, famous people around you. You can do it on your own. It just takes dedication, and most importantly, it takes a belief. Now, you have to execute, but it takes a belief in yourself. And I can give you a great example of this through the YouTuber D'Adrian Harding. So I know this kid. Funny enough, he was my neighbor at my old place where I lived on 225 Sycamore. Had no idea who this kid was. It's so funny how you can be so big online and yet it's broken down in current day to such a niche market on YouTube, on social media, on the internet, to where someone could have 5 million followers and you have no idea who they are. And I see that all the time. Where I live in Kansas, there are several people. Another person is Weston Chaplin that is doing great things. He's becoming, I don't know, the car guy, like the destructive car guy. That is Tesla, my French bulldog. You'll see more of him. But it's funny how you could do anything you want to do in life if you just believe. And I think that speaking to D'Adrian and seeing him, funny enough, I moved now. This kid's following me around. I'm just kidding. But I moved. I see this kid every day. It's like, are you following me? What's going on here? I guess his friend is now my neighbor at this apartment. So, funny enough, I see this kid all the time. And I've asked him, I said, at first I had no idea who this kid was. So, I I'm a really nice guy and I like to hang out and socialize. So I went up to him one day. This was maybe 2 years ago, and I offered him a drink. I said, "Hey man, what's your name? You want a drink? Here's a twisted tea." He's like, "I don't drink," and I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, man. So what are you doing?" He's like, "I'm editing a YouTube video," and I'm like, "Oh, you make YouTube videos? That's really cool. I want to make YouTube videos so bad." Um, and I was like, "Dude, I hope you make it." I really hope you make it. You can do anything if you put your mind to it. Little did I know, fucking moron. Kid already had like 3.5 million followers at the time on YouTube and even more on other platforms. He was so humble and so kind and so, I guess, just dedicated to his craft. For the record, I know now that he doesn't drink, and I don't really drink either, but when I'm at the pool, I'll have some fun. I don't care. It's a great way to socialize, and I don't think that drinking is necessarily good, but I will say that it does allow you to make memories as long as you don't overdo it. If you overdo it, then you're in deep, deep shit. But if you don't overdo it, then you're fine. But this kid immediately caught my eye as something special before I knew who he was because I said, wow, this kid has a very, very direct path to success or whatever he deems as being successful, and he's not going to stop until he gets there. Man works extremely hard. I see it, and I ask him. He works extremely, extremely hard. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And I also wanted to get into two aspects of what you guys may not realize or what I would just love to reinforce that is the motor behind his entire operation. It's the engine of what makes him tick as a human being. And with these two factors together, you become unstoppable. One, just right off the bat, is his dedication and his persistence. This man gets on more airplanes than a fucking pilot. He's always traveling, making new content, getting together and doing collabs. If you want to be big on social media, figure out how to collab with people. But you have to kind of do things that are exciting too. And I don't necessarily like all the shit he does online. Like, he's a kid. It's like we're not best friends or anything. This kid is like 9 years younger than me. But I can still respect what he does. And a lot of people look at his antics online and they say, this guy's a fucking moron. He's fucking with people at Walmart. He's doing rude, obnoxious pranks. That's a persona. And one of my favorite quotes is, if you do a compilation of dumb things over time in a consistent way, it will eventually mold itself together into one very big, good decision. It'll become one very big smart thing. So a bunch of little dumb things, if done the right way, can eventually become one giant great thing. And that's the definition of a lot of these YouTubers now, especially the ones that do pranks, etc. They aren't rocket scientists by any means, but they're persistent and they know how to keep attention. Everything he does is to keep his retention rate as high as possible. The retention on his videos are absolutely insane. And it's because he knows how to cut, he knows how to edit, and he knows how he will be perceived. And for good or for bad, he just continues onward, making things that he believes will grow his channel. And inevitably it does. One of the most important things this man has done is he has attached himself to a brand or to a purpose or to a message that is larger than himself. Stay sober. Everyone can relate to that. People can get behind that. It is something that will live beyond himself. It's something that is driven into culture. And it's something that's almost rebellious as well. If you can make something cool that wasn't previously cool, then you're had it forever. You're going to be extremely recognizable. And people have done that time and time again. It makes something larger than themselves. I've seen other kids do it where they have a freak vape or something, like a vapor cigarette. I don't know, that's how I sound old as fuck right now. But if you do that, then you're golden. And secondly, you can make things happen around you. You don't need to go out to Los Angeles. You can make things happen. You can make anything interesting if you were interesting. And most importantly, you have to have a good, solid core of friends around you in order to ping back and forth with. And he has that. You know, he obviously has that. Now, his friends don't work as hard as he does. And his friends will never be him. And so I don't know how they're going to cope with that in the future. But regardless, there can only be one president, then there's a vice president, then there's a secretary of state, and then there's local mayors, and then there's councilmen at your local shithole town. And it is a hierarchy. You know, there can only be one leader. And so as long as they understand that, and clearly they do, then they'll be just fine. But they don't have the dedication that he has. You know, he's very smart. And one thing, hate it or love it, about him that is probably the most crucial, so the final thing I'll say, is he has a great support network. His mom, which I don't know, like personally, but through what I've heard and what I've seen, his mom is what instilled that confidence in him to be able to go out and tackle the world and to have that belief in yourself. And I'm not going to get into like race or anything like that, but for being a young black kid in the middle of nowhere in Wichita, Kansas, you have to have a mom like that if you're going to have any sort of confidence. And it reminds me almost of Kanye and his mother, Donda. His mom is deceased now, but she would make him feel like he could do anything. He could become president of the United States. Everything he did was amazing. Every project he worked on was fantastic. All of his interests, all of his thoughts were incredible. They were impeccable. They were revolutionary. And you don't want to have a blind sense of confidence. Like if you're not great at something, you don't want someone to toot your horn to where in which you feel like you're incredible without actually putting in the work. But the thing is that he does put in the work. I think that his mom, most importantly, was what really, really gave him that initial spark that started this entire fire. I really do. And it would be a really, really fascinating conversation to have a sit-down, long-form interview with him in the future. And hopefully I can make that happen. The next time I see him, I might ask him. But he's very busy, and it really wouldn't benefit him in any way. I feel like it would benefit you guys more than it would benefit him, because there's a lot that you guys don't see. A lot of people think that the people they look up to online are actually that person in real life. And sometimes they are, but a lot of times they're just an exaggeration. They're the most of. You have to be the most of if you want to keep Retention on YouTube, you have to be the most of. And if you aren't the most of, then people aren't going to watch. Do you know why? Because it's going to be boring. And people don't like boring shit. So they're going to tune out. You have to bring your A game every time you're online. Otherwise, they won't pay attention to you. You have to make them pay attention to you by not just what you say, but how you say it. You have to do extravagant shit. You have to constantly break down barriers and create new barriers for you to jump over. And then you have to jump over those barriers. See, like that. Like boring, nonsensical, psychological shit. But he does that online. And yet in person, he's cool as a cucumber. This man could give two fucks about anything but the business that he's creating. And it is a business. For the record, I hear through the grapevine, through someone that knows him, that he's trying to get a deal with Crocs. Now, if he can make Crocs popular, which I think he did, and furthermore, I think when kids buy Crocs, they buy two pairs because they have to get a black pair and they have to get a yellow pair. I think that Crocs is a major, major missed opportunity for that business to not partner with Adrian Harding. I really do. I mean, who makes Crocs cool? Crocs are not cool. Like Balenciaga's cool. Louis Vuitton's cool. Crocs are not cool. But kids can't afford that shit. So he makes something cool that wasn't cool previously, just like he did with that whole stay sober shit, which he actually believes in. You know, I offered him a drink that one time, I told you. First time I ever met this kid. And he's like, I don't drink. I look at his chest and he has tattooed on his chest to like stay sober. I'm like, oh shit. This man probably went through a hard time. Jesus Christ. This man just got out of rehab. I didn't know. I didn't know that was his brand. But yeah. I think that all of these things combined are what make him who he is. And sometimes in life, there's just stars. There's just people that shine brighter than others. And if you are one of those people, then you're almost destined for success. But here's the one thing you can't do. You can't fuck it up with making bad decisions and getting off track and going down nonsensical roads that lead to nowhere along your path. You have to stay on the beaten, tried and true course. And he does that better than anyone else I've ever seen. So will he be the next IShowSpeed? No. But he's going to be the first Adrian Harding, I guarantee you that. Because he's not stopping anytime soon. The biggest thing I would be curious to see in the future is how he brings his audience with him, or as he ages, will he push his average viewer's age up and get into things that are more so, I don't know, entertainment revolved around pop culture, or probably not politics, but maybe even sports. He's began to do that because the biggest thing you want to avoid is aging past your fan base, I suppose. But either way, man's going to be fine. He's going to be good. And I think it's important to cheer for people, not just people you know, but people that live around you that are doing something big. There's two ways to have the world's tallest building. You can build it video by video, or task by task, or accomplishment by accomplishment, until eventually your building becomes higher than every other building. Or you could simply tear other buildings down, and that does nothing for anyone. So if someone is doing something good around you, as much as it would be more profitable and more outlandish and probably get more views to talk shit, give them their props, because it should be inspiring to you. If it's not inspiring to you, then you have something wrong with you. It has nothing to do with them. It has to do with you. So these, I believe, are just some of the things that make this man so viral. It makes him have the capability to be a superstar. And will he be? We'll see. I just seen he put out a new music video, which is cool. And for the record, guys, I'm 9 years older, 8 years older than this man, so I'm not, I'm not like his demographic. I'm not really watching his things. And it's not because, I mean, he's awesome. It's just not meant for me. You know, Blue's Clues is something that should be analyzed. It's amazing. But I'm not watching Blue's Clues. You know, I'm watching other stupid things that are more for my age bracket. But regardless, he's doing incredible things, and I'm excited to see where he goes in the future. most importantly, and I swear I will have an interview with him in the future. I just have to ask him, but I know he's busy. I don't like to ask people when they're busy. But if you see this, then just know that I'm coming for you. I'm coming for you, babe. Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have a sit down interview. So with that being said, toot, make sure that you subscribe for more content just like this, where I review people and talk nonsensically for hours and hours on end. Will this provide a purpose to anyone in the world? Probably not. But hopefully you gain something. If nothing else, then just make this be the inspiration that allows you to start something. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter what you are or who you are or where you're at in your current life. Make it happen from right where you are. Make it happen now. You don't need to wait till you own a Bugatti. You can do it right now. So get to work because you are really far behind and you got some catching up to do. So get to work.